Apple have released an iPad Pro. Apparently it has exactly the same ARM chip as the new MacBook, the M1. Now I'm going to tell you exactly what that means for the future of the iPad and the MacBook in this video, so hold on to your hats, here we go. Now you might call me a Surface guy. If you have a Surface and you want to know how to use it well, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and the bell. We release new videos every Wednesday showing you how to be a Surface Pro. But I'm here to tell you that Microsoft have conceded the two-in-one market to Apple already. Apple are not technology leaders at all. That shouldn't be a revelation to you. 5G had been around for years before it landed on the iPhone. Tablets were around for decades before the iPad, and MP3 players preceded iPods by years too. Very little of what Apple do is innovation in a technology sense. Most of the tech that they have, that is good anyway, was gobbled up by buying out smaller companies, or just ripping off their ideas and running them into the ground. Does anyone remember Tile? What they are really good at is people engineering, marketing, and they're incredible leaders of people. If Apple copy an idea and bring it to market, it's a serious market and it has serious, evident potential. After the latest Apple event, many people lamented the lack of augmented reality glasses. But come on, who else sells AR glasses? Apple won't enter a market until it exists, albeit badly. So what does the latest announcement mean for the future of the iPad and the MacBook? Well, I think it's really interesting that Apple has chosen to brand the new processor in the iPad Pro M1. They could have happily called it the A14, but they went with M1, the same processor as the one that's in the latest MacBook and the new iMac. I've said it before, and I still believe that Apple will not merge the MacBook with the iPad until they've milked every last billion out of the loose wallets of their hypnotized, hapless customers. But mark my words, they will merge the MacBook and the iPad into a two-in-one device. I'll call it the MacPad, because it's never been beyond Apple to go with a stupid product name. It will happen within the next 5 to 10 years. Why? Because a keyboard and a mouse on a laptop is not sufficient, and having two devices is not efficient. We've shown you the scientific research that's proven those 2 points definitively. And let's face it, Apple have a great ecosystem for touch and pen apps, and an extensive library of keyboard and mouse apps too. So they have the entire software stack sorted, and as of now you can run both iPad and Mac apps on the M1 MacBook, albeit only with a mouse and keyboard. The processor hardware is already the same. They make touchscreen devices and laptops. What's left to solve? So that's my prediction. Apple will create a two-in-one device that uses the best of iOS and macOS together. And that will dominate the two-in-one market to the point that the masses will consider that they actually created it. All of the Apple drones who said it was better to have a separate tablet and a separate laptop will be magically convinced that it's now a great idea to have them both together. The Apple credit cards will be activated and those things will fly off the shelves. So what about Microsoft? Surely they created the two-in-one market. Well, don't cry for them. They'll still be a trillion-dollar behemoth. I believe Microsoft are technology leaders. Unfortunately, they're not people leaders. At least nothing like Apple are. Back in 2001, they got behind the two-in-one as a platform. They dabbled with it before that. But Bill Gates predicted and backed the future of laptops as tablets back then, and he was way ahead of his time, as were Microsoft. They lost their way in typical Microsoft fashion pretty quickly, but found it again in the early 2010s with the Surface, thanks largely to the iPad. And Surface created a very profitable and productive niche, doing what Apple could not do at the time. They marketed the Surface Pro 3 as the tablet that could replace your laptop, and they created the two-in-one space. As always with Microsoft, that two-in-one space is now well supported by their partners like HP, Lenovo, Dell and more, and they currently have very impressive two-in-one devices on the market. Sure, you won't see them flying off the shelves in retail stores, but they make so much sense in business because people simply need more than a keyboard and a mouse to do work, especially in this modern age. And having two devices, well, it's just a management overhead that's unnecessary. And in that space, Microsoft will continue to win with Surface, as will their partners with two-in-ones. In fact, when the two-in-one form factor is validated by Apple, they'll do even better with it, as more businesses will then drop desktops and laptops for two-in-ones. So why do I think that Microsoft can't win with consumers and Surface? Well, it's a leadership and a structural problem. Microsoft is a company that is dominated by geeks and nerds. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of slick marketing types like you might expect to find at Apple. But Apple is tightly controlled from the top down with a comprehensive marketing and branding viewpoint. If something doesn't enhance that brand, it never sees the light of day. It doesn't matter how productive it might have been, how helpful it could be to people of the world, how great it might be for humanity. It doesn't ship unless it's profitable for Apple. Microsoft, on the other hand, is a very different place. Because it's run by geeks and nerds, aka engineers, products ship almost on a daily basis that conflict with other Microsoft products. They even release products that directly compete with their own products, or even promote other platforms over their own platforms. Basically, in Microsoft, if a product does something useful, it ships. That's a very different perspective and ethos compared to Apple. Microsoft listens to customers. If a customer says, "Yeah, we just want a laptop, not a two-in-one," well, Microsoft will go and make a laptop. Apple would never do that. Apple is not interested in listening to customers. Apple is only interested in telling customers what they need. You might disagree with me, but if Apple actually cared about what customers think, Lightning ports on iPhones would be long gone. Apple leads customers, and for better or worse, it tells customers what they want and what they'll get. Compare this to Microsoft. The Surface business was leading the market and kicking goals with two-in-ones, blazing a trail and creating a product that customers didn't even know they needed. Suddenly they take a left-hand turn and start creating copycat laptops to compete with Macbooks. They went from being a technology leader to being a technology follower simply because customers asked for it. So you can see how at Microsoft, brand vision and leadership is simply not as strong as it is at Apple. Unfortunately, their ability to convince people that they need something that wasn't what they wanted is nowhere near at the level of Apple. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. Microsoft is still an incredibly dominant tech player. They're a leader in technology, a leader in productivity, and they're even a leader in causes of humanity, well, at least as far as capitalist, stock market-driven companies go. And they have the flexibility to lead when they see that as right to, not just because it aligns with their brand strategy. And despite shooting themselves in the foot many, many times, they'll continue generating billions of dollars every quarter, along with incredible growth, because they do create products and services that people need, that keep people productive and help them to get things done. And even when they concede the consumer mind share of the two-in-one to the new Macpad and the Apple marketing juggernaut, well, they'll continue to do well with new and innovative two-in-ones in the corporate and government markets. They may even continue to play in the consumer world alongside Apple, but they'll never achieve the halo status of Apple. And personally, I'm happy with that. I don't want to feel like my technology choices require religious devotion. I've been interested in tablets for more than 20 years now. When the original iPad launched in 2010, that first week I had a friend who was visiting the US, and I got him to buy one there and bring it back to me here in Australia. And I look forward to being able to buy that new Macpad the moment it arrives. So if my prediction is right and we're still making videos like this one in 5 years' time, you'll want to see my I Told You So video. So hit that like button, subscribe and click the bell so that you get notified the moment the Macpad arrives.